Hello, everyone. My name is Lauren Wild, and we are going to be talking about containment spell jars today. So the first thing we want to talk about is what is containment magic? So containment magic is basically a form of binding or banishing, depending on the kind of work that you are wanting to do. This type of work can be done at any time of the year and in any moon phase. However, there are certain times of the year and certain moon phases where this kind of work is more potent than others. However, if I've told you to do it or you feel like you need to contain something, do it. All right. So it's really simple. Let's talk about what you need first, and then we'll talk about why. So the first thing you're going to need is a jar with its corresponding lid. Okay. The second thing you're going to need is a piece of paper and a pen or permanent marker. Okay. The next thing you're going to need is a candle. I recommend black for banishing, but you can also use white. Like you can always use white, but I am going to use black for this. Okay. You're going to want salt, which I had, and I must have set down. Where did I put my salt? Anyways, okay. And then any other herbs that correspond to the kind of work that you're wanting to do. So you can do something as simple as a quick Google of like, what herbs are powerful for banishment spells? Say that you have gossipers or you have a stalker, like mugwort is very effective for that. You know, there's all different kinds that you can use. I highly recommend having a herbal magic, like a book on that. I have one. It's just not down here right now. Wait, yes, it is here. Sorry. Right here. This is my favorite, Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. All right. This is a great one to have, and it will help you figure out, you know, what you need to use, what you want to use. At the very least, here are two things that you can always use for containment and banishment work, and almost everybody has them. Number one is salt, and number two is black pepper. Okay, those are two highly effective forms to create a sense of purity, cleansing, like removing, pushing energy away from you, salt, and then black pepper, which is very protective and it breaks spells. Okay, now you can also get even more creative. So here I have hawthorn, which is for protection, blessing, hedge work, and emotional healing. So I'm going to use some of the hawthorn. Then I've got mullein, which is for courage, protection, spiritual strength, dream work, and even abundance. All right. And then one of the other things that I have is one of these little guys. I don't remember what they're called, but I know that if you use them in spells, they work really well for protection magic, particularly wards, like sending energy away from you, things that you don't want to touch you. You see the little spiny things on it. Also, just so you know, you can crush this up in like a pestle and mortar, and then you can use it to anoint your candles, and that has an even stronger aspect of protection. So when these babies start to drop, I grab them all, I let them dry in my windowsill, and then I put them in like a big ball jar and keep them for that. So I'm going to use one of these too. Now, the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to smoke clear all of your items. So whether that is with like rosemary, mugwort, Palo Santo, sage, whatever that is, you're just going to want to smoke clear the inside of your jar first to reset it. And then any items that you may be using, if you're using a wand or a thame or anything like that, you just want to smoke clear everything. Okay. So we've got our stuff. Now, the next set of things that we're going to do, I'm actually just going to use a spray that I made. And that will work good. Smells good. Okay. So let's talk about why we might do containment work. So with all things that I do, I always teach both the mystic and the mundane correspondence of why. That's part of my So Magic method. So let's talk about the mundane part first. I am a student of DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy. I've been practicing DBT since I was 17 years old, and I'm very closely attuned to it, and I utilize a lot of it in my coaching practice and in my school with my students. And so what essentially it is, containment work, is to be mindful of recognizing what your nervous system can hold. Does your mind have the scaffolding to hold something? Okay. So in DBT, we call this mindful dissociation. And in a lot of like DBT or EMDR work, we will encourage clients to visualize containing things, like things that are inside our minds. We will visualize them going in something like a jar and then containing it and then like putting it up on the shelf. If you've ever heard of the term, like, let's shelve that for later, let's put a pin in it. This is a ritual spellcraft way to do exactly that, or also to contain things in your life that you just are not ready to hold, or they just need some space. Another way to do this is with a freezer spell. So you can check out, I'll put the link below where my freezer spell link is so that you could consider that as well. Here's how it goes. The first thing you're going to want to do, like I said, is decide what it is you want to contain. So it could be something as simple as like you have a verbally abusive ex-husband, keeps harassing you, won't stop texting you, won't stop, belittling you, whatever. Great. You can put him in a containment jar. It could also be something like a person that refuses to adhere to your boundaries, like a narcissistic mother that refuses to acknowledge that you need space and time and that you will let them know. And then they get more abusive to get their fill, right? To get their charge. You can do that. It can also be something as simple as memories and mindsets. So say that you have a really traumatic memory that you know is there, but you're not ready to process it. Like you don't have the skills, you don't have the support, and you know that it is not the wisest decision to crack into something that you don't have the adequate energy or support to get through, right? One of my Qigong teachers taught me this. It takes energy to move energy. So you have to have energy. You have to have chi to be able to move chi. To heal, you need energy. And sometimes we're depleted. So in situations like this, one of the most powerful things that we can do is mindfully contain something. That is why we put them in actual jars. It's not like we're just dissociating or we're suppressing or we're stuffing it down. What this act is it is an act of recognizing that I can't handle this right now. And I need to just put it on pause, and I'm calling on the universe and I'm bringing it into sacred ritual for this to be held in a loving container for me until I can process it. Okay. Make sense? I'm imagining hearing you say yes. All right. So our jar has been cleaned, cleared. Our next step is to utilize our piece of paper and our pen and to write down exactly what it is that we want to contain. Okay. So let's say that I want to contain inconsistency and lack mindset, right? Maybe some anxiety in there too. I'm going to take these and I'm going to roll it up and I'm going to prepare it to go in the jar. Okay. Now the next step is I'm going to call my corners. I'm a witch. So I'm going to honor all of my guides, my ancestors, and the directions, the cardinal directions. So I'm bringing my awareness to the north and I call on Ellen of the Ways and all of my well-known ancestors of the north and the element of earth to be here and to empower this spell. Thank you. All right. And I bring my awareness to the east, my ancestors of the east, Lakshmi, and also the sacred direction of air and the east. Thank you so much. Please empower this spell. I bring my awareness to the south, to all my ancestors, all my guides, to Bridget, to the sacred element of fire in the direction of the south. Please empower the spell. Like I can already start to feel the power of it starting to build within me. Thank you. And then I bring my awareness to the west, to the sacred element of water, all of my will line ancestors, Freya, all my guides. Like I can feel the energy of it build in my heart to empower this spell and support me. Please be here now. So it is. Okay, so now I'm ready to do my spell. Okay, my next step is going to be to prepare the jar. All right, so I'm going to use some of this mullein, and I'm just going to focus on adding it to the jar. And I was afraid that it could be hard coming out because the opening to these jars are really small, which I love the aesthetic of. Okay, don't get me wrong. I love the aesthetic of like an actual apothecary looking jar, but the effectiveness of the actual herbs coming out is not my favorite, but that's okay. There we go. Okay. And I thank you, mullein, so much. And I ask that you provide courage, protection, spiritual strength, dream work, and abundance. Thank you to the element of fire that empowers mullein and the planet of Saturn and Capricorn. Thank you. So it is. Okay. Now I'm going to move on to my next one, which is hawthorn. Same thing. I'm going to add hawthorn in, thanking the spirit of hawthorn. All plant allies have spirits. They all have consciousness. Make sure that you acknowledge them and tell them thank you for the work that they do on your behalf. And I thank you, hawthorn, and I ask that you bring protection, blessing, hedgecraft, journey work, and emotional healing to me. I honor the element of fire and the planet of Mars and Aries. Okay. All right. Now I've got my little like bed of herbs down here. My next step is to take a piece of my DNA. So I'm going to take a piece of my hair, because this is what it corresponds to, is me. I'm going to add that into my jar. I'm going to bring this little guy in for protection as well. And then here's my intention. So I'm going to whisper my intention to my jar, that I ask all guides, ancestors, well-aligned spirits, all of the elements, all of the plant allies, to help me contain inconsistency and a lack mindset and any anxiety that I might be feeling and the effects that it might be having on my body. So it is. When I just, stick it in there, right? Okay. Now, in bigger spells, I always encourage you to add something that has importance to it to empower the spell. But this is just a containment spell. It's not like it's like a ginormous anchor vision where we're trying to manifest something. If anything, we're trying to banish and push away. Okay. And then when I feel ready, I'm going to put the lid on top. And I'm going to seal it up. And then the next step is your candle. All right. So you can burn as many candles as you want. I personally use these little chime candles the most because I can inscribe them and anoint them. You can also use things like, I don't know, a tea light, and you can do it that way. But what I like to do is I like to write my intention on the candle and then wax down the candle. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the lighter and you're going to hold the lighter right here at the bottom of the candle and let the wax drip on top of the jar. And then once you have about 5 drips of wax, you hold the candle right here, and that's called waxing it down. And then the wax will hold the candle like this. And when you're ready and you have an hour, you need to be able to stay with your candle. Don't ever abandon these candles, okay? then you light it and you let it burn all the way down. You can keep recharging this spell every day, every couple of hours, like as intense as it is. And you can use candles to do so. It's my favorite way to do it. And that's what I encourage you to do. But that will officially like ignite the spell. When you're done with that, you want to thank all of your guides, ancestors, directions, and close the circles, bringing your awareness to the west, thanking it, sending it home in peace, and same with the south, the east, and the north. And so it is, and your spell is set. Okay. You can do as many containment jars as you want. Here is the thing though. Here's the trick about a containment jar versus just straight up banishment. The containment jar means that we know that we're choosing to deal with this at some time. Okay. That means that like it's not as simple as just banishing something, cutting something completely out of our lives. Sometimes that's necessary. Sometimes we're not sure. And that's why we need to contain it or slow it down. But what you want to do is you want to make sure you put this somewhere you can actually see it. If you're going to shelve it, put it somewhere you can actually see it. Do not put this necessarily on your active spell altar. What that means is that you don't want to put it on the altar in which you're casting all of your active spells. Okay. You just want it to be somewhere where you can like see it. All right. When I reactivate it by doing my candles, I will bring it over to my spell altar until the candle is burned down. And then I go put it back on my shelf. Literally, I have a shelf of things that I need to deal with. And I do take them down. Usually about one every season, about every 3 or 4 months, I will process through something, but not all at once. I can't do healing crises all the time anymore. And that is what it means to be wise and to have a regulated nervous system. Know your limits, work with a professional, and learn how to utilize both the mystic and the mundane to support you in your goals. I hope that this was helpful for you, and I will see you in our next video. Thanks.